This is the morning brief from the Economic Times.
Prepare for battle.
There is a new sport in town, and it has got a whole new cheer.
ओ भाई ये क्या दिया?
Destroy in
Right now I'm 30 years old and I started playing Dota 2 as a professionally almost 7 years back. Actually, it all begins when my dad brought a PC when I was like 6 years old. So my father actually brought PC for a business purpose, but I used to play like a lot of games.
Gear up as this episode gets you a ringside view of the booming gaming world and how electronic or simply esports is evolving in India. Is it commercially viable? Can you really make a sustainable career out of it? Is it just a post-pandemic phase? Or are sporting stadiums creating a new home online? It's Friday, 19th of August. From the Economic Times, I'm your host, Arijit Barman, and you're listening to the Gaming Gladiators and India's Esport Arena on the Morning Brief. In this power-packed episode, you will hear how COVID has actually given a booster dose to all our digital natives and gaming junkies from India's first gamer himself, none other than Vishal Gondal, who is jet-lagging but still decided to join us from the United States.
Vishal is the father of esports. When there was no term called esports, Vishal was doing that in 2002.
That's Anurag Khurana, who is into organizing tournaments, leagues, content creation, and marketing of esport events. That is taking the gaming revolution to the grassroots. I also speak to IP creators on how blockchain and 5G is and will transform a GG or a good game in gaming parlance into a marvel of augmented reality. But I have saved the best for the last. Moin Ejaz, or No Chance, the captain of India's Dota 2 team, which has placed the country on a gaming pedestal with a podium finish at the recent Commonwealth Games, talks us about the trying and triumphant sides of the gaming scene in India.
If you can't be the top team in India, then you not getting any sponsor, any financial help in it. There is no scope if you're not top players.
But first, let's get you the gaming grandmasters, shot callers as they would call them in the arena. Joining us, two very special guests from two very different parts of the world. Vishal Gondal, who wears many hats, gamer, enthusiast, investor, founder, and CEO of India Games, or simply the father of gaming in India. Also the founder of Encore Games, and of course the man behind the now cult Goki app. Joining him, Anurag Khurana, founder and CEO, Penta Esports, two veterans, two friends. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for taking time out and doing this. Vishal, I know you're jet lagging, so double the appreciation.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting us to the show, Arijit.
Vishal, let me come straight to you. You've seen, and Anurag just introduced you as the father of gaming, and you were literally the pioneer. You were in this space when people weren't really in it in India. You've seen this space evolve. If you could briefly rewind and help us understand this journey, how your beginning in gaming and the early days, and how you've seen this space evolve.
So when India Games started, the whole concept of that time, it was not called esports, it was more tournaments. We got in one of the world's biggest format called World Cyber Games, which was pitted as the Olympics of computer gaming. It originated from South Korea, and then it was pretty much in all the major countries. And the format was that each countries organized their own qualifiers and across certain games. And the games that time were games like Counter-Strike, games like Dota, Age of Empires, Need for Speed. These are still largely PC-based games because this is the time when there was no real internet, and these were LAN-based gaming. And if you remember, this was also the time when the cyber cafe revolution had taken off in India, and there were cyber cafes all over, and there were even gaming specific cyber cafes where you could go and do LAN gaming parties and so on and so forth. So these were literally the early days of gaming and the early days of esports. But just like any competitive format, right, the zeal to win, the zeal to compete was very, very there in this entire genre of gaming, which is why we saw tremendous success when we introduced World Cyber Games. People had not heard of what this was. So this was very early days, but interestingly, even at that point of time, we had sponsors like Samsung, Pepsi, many of the peripheral brands, PC brands participate in this. And it was, of course, the beginning, but it was really a very, very great opportunity for the youth in India to show their talent in the world of computer games. Of course, a lot has changed from then till now. Those were early days. Today, esports has established itself as an industry. And just like we are seeing formats like or cricket, or how sporting itself is now a multi-billion-dollar business, esports has ended up being there. Millions of dollars have been invested behind tournaments, teams, streaming technologies. So the whole ecosystem around esports has tremendously developed. And clearly, COVID has fueled this, because when there was a lack of sports in the real arenas, sports actually thrived, because the promise of your computer screen and your home or your mobile screen becoming the arena and you being able to compete on a worldwide stage, the community has grown. But more importantly, I think now it is getting legitimized and recognized as a true form of sporting.
Correct. Now we'll drill down on each of these points because you touched upon several of them. But Anurag, I wanted to ask you, according to you're an active stakeholder in this ecosystem. If you have to pick 3 or 4 key catalysts for this evolution, this 20-year journey, what would they be?
I think, if not in any particular order, but one of the biggest catalysts is the broadcast platform, which in India is YouTube, Loco, stuff like that. Because I remember when in 2003, 2004, that's pre-YouTube phase, it used to be people who used to walk into and watch the match live. That's all. But right now, sitting at home, it's hundreds and thousands of people watch that matches simultaneously. Just for your information, I think the esports broadcast is already number 3 in terms of any sports broadcast in our country already. Okay, it's more than Kho and Kabaddi of the world's right now. I think it's just behind cricket, of course, and football. So I think that's where we are already. So that is one of the biggest catalysts. Second catalyst was, as Vishal said himself, COVID. Everybody was stuck at home with no real sports happening. People moved on to gaming and esports. I think the third major catalyst, according to me, is Geo. Mobile internet to each and every nook and corner of the country, at least. So that's third. And the fourth most important is the involvement of brands putting in money to support esports. So I think these are the 4 catalysts, if you ask me, on which have really helped the esports.
Vishal, do you think that the demographics has changed?
So clearly there are 2 kind of audiences, right? So one is who play for fun. And that group spans across a much wider age group, right? Even 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds are playing for fun. But esports is not about just playing for fun. It's about taking this as a serious career. And that typically happens when students are in their college and maybe post college, when they see themselves achieving a certain level of competency. And this is exactly what happens even in the world of sports, right? I mean, typically you win junior tournaments or state level tournaments, and that gives you the motivation to move up the ladder. So the good thing is esports largely mimics traditional sports when it comes to demographics, where the people tend to be younger. They first play this as a recreational activity or just for fun, which could be in school or college. But as they start winning tournaments, and which is why what Anurag wants to do in starting grassroots level tournaments, that will give more people an opportunity to say, hey, I'm really good at this and maybe I can make a career out of it. And this was the problem even in the normal sports, right? Parents never encouraged their kids to take up anything other than cricket because they said, how will you make money? The good part is, at least in esports, there is a clear pathway to earn money and there is a real revenue opportunity for the esports athlete. So today, the good news is not only are the kids and the young people interested, but even the parents are equally encouraging them to take this as an active career, which was not the case in 2002. It was considered as a waste of time, and that why are you doing it? So the amount of people who were participating was way lower than today. So the big inflection point came in cricket when we saw cricketers making crores of rupees and endorsing brands and so on. The good news is that same trend has already started in the world of esports. Many esports athletes are now earning crores in endorsements, in fees, and we are representing brands. So today, being an esports athlete is not just about not being able to monetize it. There is a lot of them, not one or two, but a lot of them are able to make a serious career out of it. And right now, I think sky is the limit when it comes to esports.
The world is changing and sky is the limit. I mean, so there is, of course, a lot of money now riding on the athletes themselves. How much can I expect to earn in India? Number one. And number two, as a corollary to that, how does that stack up vis-a-vis a player in US, England, or Malaysia, or the other developed markets, so to speak?
So I think it's important to understand that each game has a different prize pool. So yes, if you are playing maybe BGMI or Free Fire, your chances to earn the prize pool is much higher in terms of the prize pool quantum, whether if you're playing a game like FIFA. So that's one point. I think second point is because of the reach as an athlete, because of that game being so popular, even the brands pay you more. But compared to West or Far East, I think we are not even at 10% of the salaries or income what these guys are making right now. But we will be there very soon.
I just want to add one point here, right? There's a misconception that people can't earn in esports. It all depends on your level of competency, which competition, which game. It's like saying that, oh, why are Indian footballers not making the same amount of money like Ronaldo or Maradona or whoever they used to make in the football teams? Because you need to be able to compete at that level. And if you can, because it's all online, you could be sitting in India and playing a US tournament. So nothing is stopping somebody from competing in a US tournament where the prize pool is millions of dollars, but you need to have that level of skill as a sportsman to win it. So this comparison is not really true because in esports, the arena is online. So you could be sitting in Timbuktu and Hansi and you could be competing with somebody in Japan and New York. So that's not a problem at all.
So the beauty is there are no geographical boundaries and it's truly democratized in that sense. Anurag, I want to also understand that there are athletes and there are influencers. Now, for a layman, the influencer is getting the cake, the icing, and the cherry in terms of fan following, brand endorsements, accolades. Is that a correct assessment?
There's no comparison. Influencers are on their own, different set of people in a different set of industries, and esports athletes are different set of people. Yes, if you want to compare, I would compare influencers with the game streamers. Yeah, they're of the same time, but trust me, esports athletes are playing for the glory, for the country and all the other stuff, but whereas influencers are basically influencing the system. I'm not saying that even the esports athlete can't be influencers. Yes, they are influencers, but the cases are very few. But it's no comparison. Influencers are altogether a different set of people, and whereas esports athletes are altogether a different set of people.
So I was asking Vishal that being the father figure that you are, you don't see this as a trigger for some kind of a friction between the influencers and the athletes.
Not really. If I mean, just think about it, right? One of the biggest brand ambassadors in India is Virat Kohli, and similarly, it was Dhoni. So, is Dhoni a brand ambassador or a sportsman? Right. So, I think similarly, the way this works is that if you are a good athlete or a good esportsman, you automatically start having a huge following, and then you can then use these following to monetize, which is what most of the influencers are doing, whether they are in the social media space or in the movies or in fashion and so on.
Anurag, I want to ask you, how is the sponsorship or the brand profile changing? You know, we saw a lot of tech companies come and back players, but as Vishal was saying, in his first ever tournament, there was Pepsi. I can still understand Pepsi is a youth brand, but now, you know, would you say more and more companies across the spectrum from FMCG to maybe cars, automobile to others, they are also waking up and want to exploit this opportunity?
Sure, Arijit. Like I remember, if I'm right, Vishal, the main sponsor for WCG was Samsung. At that, yes, Pepsi was supporting it, but major was Samsung. But today, if you see, it's majority of the brands are non. Of course, endemic brands are there, but it's entry of the non-endemic brands which is making the difference. Brands like Red Bull, Toyota, Hyundai. State Farm. State Farm is an insurance company. You name it. Because the way I look at it, for brands, the youth, which is the prime audience of at least the viewers, are the CTOs of the company. They might not consume that product today, but they influence the purchase of that product. That's one. And secondly, after 4 or 5 years, they are gonna be the prime consumer of those products. So that's how it works.
I mean, it's quite clear, right, that the future of entertainment is interactive, which is gaming, which is why every passive form of entertainment wants to move to an active form of entertainment. In fact, Fortnite was the first game which actually even started a concert inside a game. So imagine that games are now becoming the gateway to people to access and discover new experiences, which is why every social media company, Facebook has invested billions in Oculus, now Oculus 2, Microsoft, Sony, Netflix. So I think as the future moves towards the metaverse and interactive form of entertainment and immersive gaming and VR and AR.
Anurag, I want to address the elephant in the room now, which is government and regulation. We saw PUBG, one of the most popular games, getting banned. Even BGMI recently came under the spotlight. You were actively involved in that, bringing to India, marketing it and making it popular in India. It seems that the policymakers are somewhat uncomfortable with this. Am I correct?
I think, Arijit, my bigger concern is I'm okay if certain games or game publishers are not adhering to Indian rules or regulations, you ban them. But I think there needs to be a clear framework that if you don't do ABC, then your game will get banned. Or if you do D, it is getting permanent ban. I think that clarity is required rather than one day you getting up and saying, oh, this game is gone, and there's no communication either from the publisher or from the government why it is gone. So everybody's sitting and making speculation about that. So I think what I would request government to have a very clear framework. These are the reasons why the game could get banned, and this is the reason why this game got banned. I am all in for Indian security and sovereignty of data. Trust me, but having little bit of clarity, communication, I think that would be really helpful.
No, and while Anurag, I completely agree that you need clarity and communication. But I think in the case of BGMI and PUBG, like I had said before, it was the same old wine in new bottle, and they just got caught. I think clearly, I would say that what they did by just renaming the game and in 3 months launching it, I can't believe they could make a new game in 3 months. So what happened, Arijit, is there was a ban on PUBG because of whatever reasons. And suddenly we saw that all the employees of Tencent became employees of Krafton overnight. And then suddenly we saw that in a matter of a few months, there is a new game launch. So I just think that in this particular case, I think there was more that met the eye, and maybe the government has investigated that. But outside of it, I think the government is doing a lot in gaming, as there is this big thing going around real money gaming, which is also becoming a big challenge in India, as gambling and betting is openly going on, and many states are trying to regulate it or ban it. So I think the problem with gaming right now overall is that what is esports itself is a challenge. There are many games who are also saying that playing Rummy and Teen Patti competitively is also esports. So I think the government needs to have a larger debate around separating esports from non-esports or money-related gaming activities, and then create the right framework for growth.
Understood. Now, Vishal, we are running out of time. So the last word from you. There is a bigger question in terms of societal health implications as well. Parents, most of them, and I'm sure you face the question, even Anurag does, that kids are becoming digital slaves. They are not going out to play cricket, football, or just run. There is this side effects that seems to bother a lot of people. Responsible gaming, yes, we've seen a lot of campaigns, but a lot more needs to be done.
So I think, Arijit, I just want to kind of say that even before esports, when kids used to play cricket, gully cricket all the time, parents used to say कि ये लोग अपना time waste कर रहे हैं, पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहे हैं. So I would say that as India is a country where always society has not encouraged you pursuing extracurricular activities or anything outside studies. Whatever you do outside studies is not considered good. Why is studying 24 hours a good thing? That's one. But I want to kind of bring back to what does it take to be an esports person? You have to respond in a matter of microseconds. That is the level of reflexes you need to have as an esports person. As an esports person, you are playing a game of 100 chess tournaments in one time, because you are not only trying to analyze your moves, you are trying to analyze moves of 100 other opponents in those games. So people underestimate that what does it require to be an esports person. There are elements in every sport who will end up being the bad characters, and I don't think so this small minority should kind of use to tarnish the image of the overall industry or sport.
Clearly, the game has just begun. But what does a champion gamer like Moin has to say about it all? Is life indeed so promising? Or is finding a high roller to bankroll you and your team still a challenge? What are the sponsorship sweepstakes, and how did it all begin for him?
I'm 30 years old, and I started playing Dota 2 as a professionally almost 7 years back. Actually, it all begins when my dad brought a PC when I was like 6 years old. So my father actually brought PC for a business purpose, but I used to play like a lot of games. And then I started like playing CSGO with my friends. there was like a lot of time when my friends like used to leave and keep talking about Dota 2, how it is like we are going to play that game. I was like very interested in it, and I like how the game works, like how like you need to put your brain in it and you need to make like strategy and your skills. So yeah, like that's how pretty much I got hooked into the game. And then there is my friend in local in Kolkata. So he asked me to play a tournament for him, like to play in his team. I was like pretty nervous and I was very, very shy that time. Yeah, like and we had like a match against like best team from Kolkata that time, and we beat them. So everyone like started knowing me. This guy is very good, and so everyone like started cheering for me.
When was
So
this?
I think it was 2013-14. So I used to just play like casually that time. So it was not like professionally. It was around 2016 to 17 when I got like when our team was like doing very well, and then we got sponsors deal and stuff. So like they were ready to sponsor us. So we joined them. It was Beyond Infinity that time. Like, and then now it's renamed to Entity Esports, which is very big organization right now.
Okay. But tell me, when you were starting out in Kolkata, were there this? I want to understand this whole culture. Your friends would play where? Would play on their respective PCs, or you guys would go to video parlors and play? Where would you hang, basically?
So it's like before it's like a group. Like there was league system in India before for Dota 2. Is so anyone from India, they played together with each other. So that's how like we get to know like all the players from India. So actually we made team and we like talk with with the players on Discord or Skype. Like that time it was Skype. So everyone like would be there hanging out, chilling out, and talking like with each other. So that's like how pretty much we know each other.
But tell me, what was the scene like at home? I mean, I'm sure your parents at that point in time, and when you started, you were in school, I'm guessing. So they must be saying कि मोइन यार पढ़ाई करो, डॉक्टर बनो, इंजीनियर बनो. ये क्या है? ये क्या ये तो मतलब ये क्रिकेट फुटबॉल भी नहीं है, ये तो ई स्पोर्ट है, ये पता नहीं क्या है, इससे क्या होगा, फ्यूचर तो कुछ है ही नहीं. I mean, what kind of questions did you face at home?
Like it started like that, but then when I started like winning local events and some like I went to other events and we did well, so they were like, if you see any scope in it, then you can try to like go for it. Like so I had like a choice before to either study or to like completely commit on the games, like the team. So basically I we had to like go to the Mumbai boot camp that time, and I was studying in the college. So yeah, they like asked me, if you want to like go and play there, then you should like commit 100% in it. So yeah, they were pretty supportive, you can say.
No, I'm sure there were, but would you say that only when you started winning and they actually saw that there is some kind of financial viability? Because all parents worry कि बच्चों का क्या होगा, future क्या होगा.
Yeah, like that time it was not a thing, but then suddenly like some big tournament, some big sponsors started showing up. So they saw some potential in it, even I saw. So I tried to like convince them that there is a scope in esport as well. So yeah, they were very happy when I got like my first salaries and bootcamp and place to stay and play with the team.
But what kind of initial investments did you have to make? Because there is equipment, there is an investment that you have to make in to excel in this sport.
Before, like it was all up to you. Like you have to pay for everything, for mouse, keyboard stuff, and net and everything. Like so, but then it slowly like started like people started getting facilities. Like we got facilities, like a proper gaming house where you got like PCs, keyboards, mouse, and stuff, and then you get like your own chef. So yeah, it was very good like that time.
Understood. So, if I can ask you, now that you're a professional and we're talking about parents and viability in terms of making it as a profession, how much can a professional athlete earn realistically in India, and how long is his or her shelf?
So there are like multiple ways you can earn money from being a Dota 2 player, I guess, if you, like as a pro, if you're very good in it, like you can earn a lot of money from it. Especially if you are playing for outside like international teams. If you get like picked up by a very good, like very professional organization, then as far as I know, like they pay you around 6 to 7,000 USD dollar. You get like all the facilities, all the traveling, and everything is like covered in it. And then you can even stream for yourself. Then you can like have a separate income as well from that. Like a YouTube channel, you stream your games and like you entertain people, something like that. So like when I used to play in 2019 in an organization called Signify, I used to get like paid like 45 to 50,000. So yeah, like if you're good in it, you can get like a lot of sponsor. Plus, you whatever you win from winnings, you get that also. So yeah, like there are a lot of ways you can earn.
You obviously were looking to win gold. It didn't happen. What went wrong against England and Malaysia? Do you think they were better prepared? These teams have been playing for far longer than Indians in comparison, or something was fundamentally wrong in the strategy, or was it just a bad hair day for you?
So actually, we had like very less time to prepare for the event, and we were having like different problems with like visa and stuff, and some of our players having like power cut issues. I guess like a lot of different stuff, net not is like net problem and stuff. So and other than that, like our Malaysian team was like very strong one. I think they were like the strongest in the tournament because they were playing for a year like together. But we could have won the match. It's just we made like some mistake in the games. So yeah, and because like my team, like our team, we had like 3 new players also, like who have not played any other events before that. So for them, it was like their first time playing in a big stage and in front of a lot of people. Like you get nervous. So yeah, like it's a good experience for them also. They will learn from it. Next time, like our main target is Asian Games, but there will be like a lot of different events also happening in India.
Now, you raised a very important point in terms of players facing power cut, internet problems. Now, things like this, things like infrastructure, things like technology, aren't these big challenges or big handicaps that players like you face? And what possibly can be done?
I don't think like you can do much about the power cut issue, because if one of the players have, then I don't know like what else you can do. The only thing like I feel like if you like have a sponsor or if you have a gaming house, I think that's pretty much like solve the problem. Because you go play in the same place, like 5 people playing in the same place, and even if there is a power cut issue, then you can like have a backup generator, or maybe you can go to the cafe, play together there. So I guess that's the like only option I think for players. If we have a good sponsor, like if we have a sponsor who can like give us like all the facilities we need, I think we can like do pretty well in like future events as well.
I see a lot of these influencers in esports, someone like a Dynamo and others. They get a lot of sponsorship from companies as diverse as Gillette to Asus Computers to Hewlett Packard, HP, or Lenovo, things like that. So even car companies are now coming up. Isn't the situation improving? Aren't more and more moneyed or deep pocket investors coming on board and backing teams? And isn't it getting more corporatized, more organized?
Yeah, like for Dota, it's actually a very complicated game. So people like don't like there is not much people who understand the game, and it's like it's very hard to know what's going on in the game. So I think that's why like Dota fan following is very less in India. So influencers have like a lot of like fan following and views, like so that's why like I think they get like most of the brand deals and stuff. While Dota players, they don't get like all these options.
India generally forgets her athletes as fast as they put them on a pedestal. Once you win an accolade, you are a hero. But 6 months down the line, nobody remembers you. And there is no institutional support mechanism for athletes of any kind, whether track and field or any team sport or individual sport. What would your message be to your community, to investors, and to corporate sponsors at large?
I feel like government should get into esports. Like they should start recognizing what esport is in India. Like it's growing very it's growing in very fast pace right now in India. And for Dota, I think if it depends, I think it's because mainly fault of the players, I guess. Like they don't compete in the tournaments and they, but I feel like Dota players think that they're going to lose anyway, so they just don't play. Like I think they should start competing in events, even at least give it a try, right? Like you will start learning, you will start getting better. So that's what I feel like when some tournaments happen, there are only 10 teams, 20 teams who show up for the tournament because they feel like they can't beat good teams there.
Is it because of lack of confidence, exposure, or is it because it needs money and wherewithal, and as you said, visa, travel, paraphernalia, and simply it becomes unaffordable?
Yeah, that is also a thing. Like if they know, if you can't be the top team in India, then you not getting any sponsor, any financial help in it. So yeah, they know there is no scope if you're not top players.
So it is a combination of factors there.
Yeah, it combination. Yeah.
Right through the episode, you have heard the father of gaming in India, Vishal Gondal, himself talk about the exponential growth of esports in the country. You also heard an organizer and a champion athlete like Moin also talk about the growing opportunities and the fast changing dynamics. But being a numbers junkie, I wanted some hard stats to really get a grip on things. So I decided to lean on a gentleman who has also seen it all for over a decade.
Like any other sports that we talk about, the electronic sports is also on the rise in India. And the industry is actually expected to grow to a massive 46% growth rate. And, currently, which is close to around 2.5 billion rupee market, which is the 2021 figures, and which is expected to grow to 11 billion by 2025, which is as per the ENY report.
That's Bharat Patel, co-founder and director of UDIS Solutions, an Ahmedabad headquartered enterprise software company with outposts around the world in Canada, UK, Malta, that has been into web, mobile, app development, gaming plugins, and blockchain solutions since 2011.
And especially, when we've got the bronze medal at the Commonwealth, although it's bronze, but it's a huge impact. It's like a catalyst in the whole phenomena that's going to happen, because this gives a big leverage to all those gamers who are there in the country.
Team India.
And the whole economics around the esports is based on the prize pool which is being there, and it is expected that the prize pool which will be close to 1 billion rupees by 2025. So whenever there is a prize which is tagged to any sports, the sports become bigger.
But if the gaming industry is becoming bigger, then companies like UDIS that creates IPs or plugins or are into product development themselves should also be raking in the moolah, right? How does the economics work for them?
Whoever is the developer of the game concept, he has his own intellectual property, but the IP is based on whatever characters that they choose, whatever game levels that they choose, whatever game strategies that they decide, and the winning ratios that they decide. So all this is based on whatever that the game owner will have its own IP on it.
So let me get this correct. So UDIS, if it develops a game, you own the IP for perpetuity. It's not that the IP moves if you sell the game to a Facebook, to a Microsoft, to a Sony, Nintendo, or whoever.
Yes, you're right. And this in today's world, everything is on a SaaS based model. So it's everything residing on a cloud, and it's been given as a pay as you go. So it gets used by any of the platforms, and still the IP still remains with us, with the owners.
But if you notice, most of the IPs are global. For a country with a rich canon of mythological characters, epics, and our own indigenous games like Kho-Kho, Kabaddi, or even Luka Chupi, what stops us from becoming a content powerhouse ourselves? Much like in animation, why do we still get swayed by a PUBG, Dota 2, Assassin's Creed, Counter-Strike, or League of Legends, or even FIFA that are all conceived, coded, and developed by companies overseas?
Currently, India has almost 150,000 players, and there are 60,000 teams which are currently there on esports. And if we look at the growth, which is going to be close to around 78% growth rate by 2025, which will reach to 1.5 million players with 250,000 teams. Now, these are all, most of them are based out of the games which they are using, which are internationally developed games, be it Korean, be it Japan, be it US or China, or whatever. When you talk about the Indian sports, there are tremendous amount of scope of the Indian characters. Like even if you look about not the esports but the regular games, it is fast catching up with the Indian characters. Be it like Chota Bheem or small kids. They have their games. Similarly, a kabaddi, as you rightly touched that point, kabaddi is a huge sports. And when we talk about esports, we all know that esports is all about a kind of a team which will play against another team, and kabaddi is one of the classic examples that we have as far as Indian games are concerned, and that's slowly going to catch up. And once a particular sports become popular, the esports takes over. So that's going to be huge, and there are many such kind of characters in Indian mythology, as you rightly said, which will then eventually come up as a part of the esports.
But if you notice, most of the IPs are global. And as blockchains become mainstream, data protection and especially payment security via digital distributed ledgers become that much simpler and secure.
Since we talk about the financial models, the other big technology that which are being used here is the blockchain, which is a very secured method by which the payments, which is seamlessly connected between one and to the other, and with the distributed ledgers, it remains extremely secure as to how the payment flow is also happening. And with the new Web 3.0 and HTML frameworks, like Phaser and Pixie.js and Unity, these are the platforms which are extremely powerful for any game development, which UDIS is extremely expert on.
My take: I only wish the support ecosystem for Indian gaming creators improve. It is changing, but still largely an import from the world into India. Hopefully a lot will change with time and the world of 5G, or as I call it, anything is possible universe, where augmented, virtual, or even mixed realities will coexist with metaverse and digital avatars. Imagine a digital you and a bot playing FIFA for 5 hours. Now, why is 5G a game changer? Because when you talk of taking an audio clip or a video clip or share with multiple people on a single platform, it's all about the video and audio compression. And that needs massive bandwidth. We're talking multiple people from multiple IPs coming on board from multiple locations working seamlessly on a single cloud-based platform. 5G will make high-resolution streaming possible in supersonic speed, revolutionizing the whole user experience. It's no longer about connecting through a modem or a local area network, or even playing in one large auditorium. Next time, invite your cousin from Canada for a session of StarCraft 2. You can play from your mobile device while he can use his tab or even TV. Welcome to to this new community, dude. But, for heaven's sake, do not become a couch potato. Too much of anything is not cool. If you are a casual gamer or a streamer or just a fan, go out, play a real sport too. Read a book. Get real, for Christ's sake. You have been listening to the Gaming Gladiators and India's Esport Arena on the Morning Brief with me, Arijit Burman. This episode was produced by Sumit Pandey from The Economic Times and Saundarya Jayachandran from Awaz. Sound editor Rajas Naik from The Economic Times and Swati Joshi from Awaz. Executive producers Anupriya Bahadur and yours truly from The Economic Times. Do share the episode if you like it. Tune in to ET Play, our latest platform for all things audio, including your favorite podcast, The Morning Brief. Our episodes drop every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Friday. Hope you enjoyed listening to the episode. Have a great weekend. Goodbye, good luck, and happy gaming. All external sound clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits are mentioned in the description.